Good evening, everyone. This is Vasu Deshpande from Easylib Software Private Limited on 1st of August 2024. Today, in next 30 to 40 minutes, we are going to learn about how the software pricing is derived. So we are going to cover a few of the items here. We will cover first the types of software, and we will cover the components of software pricing. Then we will cover reasons for the cost overrun, why the cost overrun happens in many organizations. Then we will cover what you can do to reduce the cost overrun. Then we will cover how Easylib is priced and EasyOne Campus ERP is priced, and of course our contact details. So stay tuned for next 30 minutes with us. First item, types of softwares. What are the different types of softwares we have got? Okay, let's see. The first one is a freeware. Okay, so what's a freeware? Freeware is like you are able to get that software for free. Okay, that's Linux software, Liber, Truecaller. So many free applications you can download from the internet, right? So they are all your free applications here. So what's the advantage? They are all free, right? So now the question is, how do the engineers learn? How do the engineers earn by writing a software that is free? So usually these products are sponsored. A university might opt to sponsor a particular product. That is why it is offered for free. If the university is not offering for free, a company is not sponsoring the development product, then how can the developers get money out of writing a freeware? No, they will not. On the other hand, the developers or other people can earn money by providing support on that particular freeware, right? So the earning happens through the support provided on that. However, you got to be careful on one particular items. Lot of freeware available in the market. They may sound like freeware, they look like free, but they may have a hidden agenda. That agenda could be as simple as that software asks permission to look at what is happening in your mobile. Or it may be promoting one particular product, one specific product. The facade is free, but in the background there is a hidden agenda. So whenever you choose any product that is called as a free, be extremely careful in choosing that product. The second type of the software is a free with an option to buy. So the basic version may be free. Some limited features may be free. Take example of Google Drive. 15 gigabytes is free, right? So we all use Canva. Many of us use Canva, Facebook, WhatsApp and all. And we don't pay any money for our regular usage. However, when you want to use some of the advanced features in those products, that time you pay. If 15 GB is not sufficient and you want 100 GB, then you pay a certain amount to the Google. Fair enough. So basic is free, the advanced features are charged. The third type of software is a paid software product. Take the example of Microsoft Windows. Many of you use the Microsoft Windows, right? And our own Easylib product, SAP, Oracle, many products are all paid software packages. So what's good about them? They are paid. The pricing is pretty clear. There is no hidden agenda. These are the companies which are writing the software and offering it for a certain price. They may offer bulk discounts. So everything is transparent here, and you don't find hidden agenda in these kind of paid software products. And lastly, the custom development. What is a custom development? Here, what you do is rather than buying a product which is ready made available for you, you write the software. You put certain resources and write the software, or you outsource the development to a company and that company writes the software for you. So here, the software engineers, how do they earn? when they work for you on the development, they get paid monthly. And if they happen to take a fixed price contract, then at that time you pay them a lump sum money based on the deliverables. So that is how these different types of softwares are there and how engineers get paid for writing those kind of software. Let me also log in on the mobile just to make sure you are able to see everything here. Okay, that's great. Okay, next. Let me go into the components of software pricing. How does Windows decide? Microsoft decide, and this much is the price for Microsoft Windows. How do we decide from Easylib that we will charge you this much money, right? So we'll go over in detail about the software pricing, right? And even the last part also, when you want own software product and you want to give a contract to another company, how is that company coming up with a price? So, what are the components? It's in two slides. The first one is the requirement analysis. So, what is to be written? What is the roadmap? Okay. So, what are the components should be there? All that you do in the requirement analysis. So, that's one part of the software pricing. Second, once you decide what you want, you're going to do the architecture of the product. You're going to do high level design. You do the detailed software design. You do the development work. You test what you have written. Then you do an integration testing of one program, another program. Are they working together well? Then you do a beta testing. That means you give to a certain customers to test it out. Then you do the load testing. That means you keep on adding more and more and more and more and data and see how the performance is there. Then you do a stress testing. You test it out literally till what point the software can run smooth, after which it will not be able to run at that particular speed or with that kind of infrastructure you are suggesting. Then you do a user acceptance testing. In that case, some of the users totally review your product and come back and give a feedback saying that what's good, what's not good, what need to change, and so on. Then you have a parallel run, especially if you are having an old product and you want to come to a new product, then you would have a parallel run, right? So, wherein you compare the performance of these two products and how they are operating, whether the data is matching and all that thing. So that's a parallel run and so on. Okay. And the next item is, so first two items were related to the software development. Next is data migration cost. You migrate the data from the old system to the new one, or Microsoft Excel to the new one, or it could be the paper format to the new one. So this is the complete data migration cost. Then what you are going to do? You are going to validate whether you are going to keep a watch on the data that's migrated to make sure that everything is thorough. Right? Yeah. Then, if you happen to be a software company like us, you also do the marketing cost. You have marketing cost, sales cost, promotional cost, and so on. Right? And in Indian context, we also have one more context, that is the payment collection cost. Right? Because here you supply the software, you assign into an agreement, then many times we have to put a lot of effort to collect the payment. Right? So um, So definitely on the customer side, if the contracts are honored, that definitely reduces the cost of the development for everybody. Okay. Then next one, what are the other components continued over here? Then you wrote the software, you got it ready, then you got to deploy somewhere, then you have the hardware procurement cost, operating system deployment. You need to apply the patches to the operating systems. They need to constantly upgrade that OS. You need to deploy the database. You need to do the upgrades to the software, the databases. The database requires maintenance. It requires repair. It requires shrinking. Many more. Then you have got the infrastructure like electricity, network, air conditioning, and all that. Then secured room, locks, multiple layer security is required. Then you need to take the data backup on a daily basis. You may even need to have the real-time database backup facility. If the data is critical, you need to have two parallel servers running, right? Then you need to have the security. So you need to have the firewall to make sure that nobody intrudes into your computer systems. You need to deploy the antivirus software on multiple machines to make sure that your infrastructure is as safe as it should be. Then you have got the hardware maintenance because they also become outdated. So all of these are there. And if you're happening to go to cloud, then there's a cloud hosting cost. Okay. Then, so these are related to the hardware. In the first slide, we covered the software related cost. Now we covered the hardware cost and the deployment and implementation cost. Next, then there is the external environment compliance cost. Say, for example, GDPR, Global Data Protection Regulation, Indian Standards Institute, NCIP standards. So your software needs to be compliant with those standards. So whether you like it or not, you need to make sure that you always adhere to those standards, because in the short run it may look like extra money to be spent, but in the long run it will do a lot of good, right? So you need to spend on those compliances, some of them optional and some of them are mandatory, right? You need to follow them. Then there is a deployment component upgrade cost. Say, for example, if you have written the software in PHP 5.6, you need to upgrade to the latest PHP 8.2. So many years, many of us wrote the software in Visual Basic 6.0 by Microsoft. Now that is no longer in the market. So you need to upgrade that particular language. Otherwise, you cannot maintain that old software. So customer may or may not see why this is required. But for you to continue to manage that particular software, you need to modify that language itself. So all those things have to be factored in writing the software and deriving the prices of the software. Then apart from that, you have the documentation cost, training cost, hand-holding cost, wherein you make sure that your software is used by all your users well, right? So this is the hand-holding. So many items form component of the price what you pay for the software that you are buying, whether you are going with the paid software package or with the custom development or a portion of the payment that you are going to make for the free software which have an option to buy. So all these companies have derived the pricing based on all these factors. And from your end, if you are especially going with own software for your organization, you need to make sure that you are considering all these items over here. Okay, let's move on. So now, one interesting thing over here. Many companies have a cost overrun. So you plan for this much spend on the software over this much period, and the period gets extended, and also the price gets extended. So sometimes we have 100%, 200%, even 1000% cost overruns. So let's see a few reasons why this overrun happens in many organizations. The very first reason the cost overrun happens is narrow vision, especially when you are doing the automation for the first time. You have a narrow vision. I want this much. You don't look left, you don't look right. You're just thinking only that portion, right? So you develop that portion. Then you realize, oh, I need this much. I need this much. I need this much. I need this much. And it keeps on growing. Haphazardly, a lot of items are added over here. Very narrow vision and constant effort over here. Imagine this. If you are hiring one software engineer and your spend is about, let's say, a moderate 50,000 rupees per year, per month, a good developer. Okay, I'm not counting the exorbitant salary that's offered by the multinationals, right? A normal software engineer of about 3 years experience. If you're spending about 50,000 rupees per month and you keep on giving these changes again, without realizing you might have spent about minimum 6 lakhs on that one resource. If you have 4 or 5 resources, you would have spent about 25 lakhs on this. On the other hand, a better planning, a better vision of what exactly you want will help you keep the cost under control. The next one is inadequate planning. So you know what exactly you want, but you do the inadequate planning here. Sometimes the priorities gets mixed. Sometimes that should be developed now is scheduled for a later point of time. Sometimes that is not at all required, gets developed first. And in the planning, many critical components are left. So this is another reason for the cost to overrun, right? Then the next one is the data migration. What is this data migration? You have all your data in Excel or in another software. You want to bring to the new software, right? So for that, you need to migrate the data from that to the old one. Now imagine this. you have the data typed in Microsoft Word. You need to import it. So you need to put it into Microsoft Excel. When you do that, you leave some of the data because not everything is properly aligned. Right? So the data is this much, what goes over is this much. So that's a problem over here. So data migration is one of the most complex activities and the most cumbersome activities also. So the more appreciation you have for your own data, the less difficulties you will face during the application usage in the long run. Then number 4, lack of brainstorming. Often, quite often, many times, the people who are at the senior level, right, because of their experience, because of uh, the qualifications and all that, they need to make sure that there is enough opportunity for the juniors to express ideas. There should be an open environment. Of course, we'll go into the reasons and then what need to be done to reduce the impact. But if you have this lack of brainstorming, many times some of the people know what exactly to be done, but they are afraid to tell their ideas. So that's one of the reasons for the cost overrun, wherein hindrance to the juniors to express their ideas freely causes the project to have the cost overrun. Then next is lack of handholding. The software is written, deployed, but whereas it's writing a few pieces of software for the software engineer and the team. For the users, it's a cultural shift. You were doing everything in the paper, now you are doing in the software. So no more papers. This is the system you use. The way you were doing was like this, like this, like this. Now you need to do like this, like this, like this. That's a cultural change over here. So you need to make sure that enough handholding is provided on writing, or when you provide the software, you want to make sure that enough handholding is provided for the end users to use the software. Otherwise, you develop this much, what gets used is only this much. Right? Then next, the other one which causes the overrun is choosing the lowest cost product. Let me give an example. Easylib, entire automation system for the library, was first offered in early 2000s. Right? At that time, we are fortunate to have some of our customers who made a call to go with Easylib. They are our customers for last 20 plus years. At that time, Easylib was not the lowest costing product. Whereas we were charging this much amount, there were our competitors who were only charging this much. Still, this particular organizations, many of them, a few hundred of them, went with us. Now they are happily using our product for more than 20 years, and gradually they even upgraded from easily 1.2 to 2.2 to 4.3, 4.4, 5.0, 6.2, now 6.4. Smooth migration is happening. So lowest cost was not the factor here. If they had gone with the lowest cost product, probably they would have had a 4 or 5 experiments by now, changing the different software, because lowest software, lowest price doesn't mean the best services or the best product that you wish. Next, the seventh item that causes the cost overrun in many organizations is own everything approach. I want to have my own data center. Our college should have the own data center with so many computers, so much of air conditioning, so much of this thing, so much of that, so much of that. You have a huge data center that costs money. Own software, you want every software to be written by you, even though there could be best available products in the market. You want to have everything written by you because you own it. You want to own it, because when you go with the products like Microsoft Windows or Easylib or SAP or Oracle, we are only offering you the license to use it. You don't own the product. However, if you want to own the product, you write it, right? So the mindset of owning the software costs you a lot of money. For that, you hire your own engineers, many engineers, many much bigger infrastructure and all that thing. So that is one of the reasons for cost overrun and huge spend in many organizations. Next is gross underestimation, because the things are dynamic. constantly changing everywhere. The environment changes, the rules and regulations changes, the infrastructure changes, the interfaces change, the way the external software that you use changes. All of those cause you cost overrun, right? So if you especially want to do something with the lowest cost, then you keep on realizing more to be added. Ultimately, you would end up with a lot of cost overrun. So these are like 8 of these reasons why the cost overrun happens in many organizations. Now let's go over here to the next slide. What you can do to keep the cost optimum. Whereas you should not have the cost overrun for your software development. Excuse me. So the first thing that you want to do is avoid the narrow vision. You want to draw a blueprint of how your organizations will look in the next 10 years. So when you do the plan vision, you also make sure that you allocate sufficient budget on that. Today, many organizations spend about 3% of their revenue on the information technology. That means if you happen to be a college and the total amount of fees you collect, the total budget of your organization is, let's say, about 10 crore, you would need to spend about 30 lakhs minimum per year on the software component alone. Just the infrastructure component. I am not talking about these computers that everybody uses. The software that you want for your organization, if you spend about 30 lakh rupees, you can get a decent software. But if you happen to get a great amount of software at a lesser money, then you may not be able to get. Right? It will again result in the cost overrun and other inconvenience. So you want to have a thorough vision of how your organization looks and focus on getting the best product, and then can you integrate it rather than owning everything. Rather than writing everything on your own, can you go with the option of getting the best product in the market, integrate, use the APIs, right, for that integration. So all these require the vision to be good. You want to hire good consultants who can advise you on what needs to be done. Okay. The next is inadequate planning. So many times you want to know what to do, but you have never done this before, right? So in that case, rather than doing the trial and error, it is worth it to get somebody for a week or two, or maybe a month, to engage in the discussions of what needs to be done, right? So planning plays a crucial role, because if there is a mistake at the software development level, that is fixable by the program. But if there is a mistake at the planning level, it will have a far-fetched impact. The cost is going to be much bigger to fix it. So you want to do a thorough planning. Then there is a data migration thing, right? You want to make sure that you plan ahead. Keep the task of data migration from the data cleaning to separate activities. The providers of the data have to give a clean data. Then only the data migration will become smooth. Then you want to plan a gradual data migration, not like dump everything and then start using it and expect everything is fine, right? Expecting the new software will work 100% thorough without any glitch is almost like an imaginary scenario. Any practical software will have some teething period. So you want to make sure that your operations are not at all impacted during that particular data migration and the go live period. So for that, data migration activity plays a big role here. Then the next is what we saw, lack of brainstorming, right? People were afraid to tell ideas. So this is much more than software over here. Where what you would want to do is build an open atmosphere where people are able to communicate their ideas, and this is more with the entire atmosphere rather than the software development alone. When there is more trust, people come up with the more ideas. When people come up with the more ideas, there is a choice of ideas that you can choose. You know, then handholding. If there is no handholding after the software is provided, the entire software usage becomes very difficult. You invest a lot of money. You buy the hardware, You buy the software, you get everything right up and running, but people don't want to use it. To avoid that, you want to make sure that you plan ahead for the handhold. I will cover that portion in the ERP portion. When you are automating your library, the handholding is this much because many of the librarians are already qualified as the MLISC and they have studied for 2 years. However, in the campus automation like admissions, attendance, student information, staff, exams, timetable, there is no such course existing right now. So the handholding becomes even more important. It may cost even more than the software itself. Then next, choosing the lowest cost product. Whereas it may be so tempting to go with the lowest cost software, our recommendation is that you want to choose what suits you rather than what costs the least amount. Your choice, what you want, your time, your convenience, your long term adaptability to that particular product are far, far more important than some amount of money you can save by going to the lowest cost product in the beginning stages. So you want to validate that. Next, should you own everything? Is that necessary? You whether the subscription is required, so you can evaluate both. Take an example. If you buy a beautiful server, wonderful server you buy, how many years you can keep? 3 years, 5 years. After that, it becomes outdated. So now you want to validate whether owning the server is good or going with the cloud server is better. You want to cross-examine these things. And in case of the software, do you want to pay for the perpetual license of the software, which will help you use the software eternally, or pay the annual fee? So evaluate both of them because that will help you save a lot of money. And perpetual owning may not be the best option today. The reason is that even though you may have the perpetual ownership of that particular software product, the product itself will become outdated in next 3 to 5 years. You need to anyway upgrade the product. So subscription is a better option in that period. So evaluate, cross-examine these things. Then the last one is a gross underestimation. There is no simple solution to that. The more wider knowledge you have of the environment of what is happening in the market, the less chances of underestimation of your software development work. Say plan better, bigger team, more interactions, more discussions. They all help you identify the blind spots like our back, what we cannot see, what's in our back, right? Somebody will tell you, oh, you left this particular item, please add it to the budget, like that. That's how you can keep the cost optimum, right? So in this slide, in the previous slide, we went with what are the reasons for the cost overrun, what are the impact they cause, and here in this slide, with the same 8 of them, we now went over how do we reduce the impact. Okay. All right. So this much was the theory for today. So first we covered the types of software, freeware with option to buy paid software and custom development. Then we went with how the software companies do the pricing. Then we went with what are the issues you face in causing the cost overrun and how you can avoid that. Now, for the purpose of this discussion, our focus, Easylib is a company in this category over here. It's a paid software product or it's a subscription based software product. How do we price? We have done all this groundwork, requirement analysis, architecture, data migration, marketing, payment collection, hardware procurement, external environment, development, documentation, training, handholding. All of these are considered. And then we have come up with a fair price, no hidden agenda, no hidden charges. And on the other hand, we ourselves give a lot of freebie in the software itself. Whereas you buy this much, you get some more components free in the software itself. So how we have priced is like this. The cost of software development included, the cloud server procurement and maintenance included, handholding and support for the entire year included. Right? If you happen to have a library with one staff and 500 students, you pay rupees 40,000 plus GST. That's 47,720 per year For the entire Easylib 6.4, a professional version that includes the physical library management, digital library management, in-out management, and many more components of this product. 47,720 flat per year over the years. After 3 years, the inflation increases. Maybe there is a little bit price increase, but nothing like extraordinary sudden change and all that. Then two staff pricing, you got additional 20,000. So that's if the 40,000, it will become 60,000 plus GST. You have got three staff with 1,500 students, then 80,000. I'm counting the library staff here, right? So 80,000 plus GST. You have your much larger library, you keep adding additional 20,000. And when you have more than 4, 5, 6, then of course the volume discount comes into picture. So this is a fair price with no hidden charges, with lots of frees, and this is a very predictable price that you pay over here. There is nothing like a hidden charge here, right? Then you imagine this: if you are paying 40,000 rupees for Easylib software and you have 500 students, what is the cost per student? It comes to rupees 95. Imagine this: if you are a college with charging only 10,000 per year as your fee, only 10,000 if you are paying, how much is it? 1%. If you happen to collect, let's say about 50,000 rupees as fee per year, then the price is 0.2%, right? And if you happen to collect 1 lakh rupee per year as a price for the students as the annual fee, then the cost becomes 0.1%. 0.1%, 0.1%, that's all. So 40,000 rupees plus GST is a minuscule of the amount that the students invest on their education, and that investment of let's say 95 rupees, that's are the 0.1% of the student's fee, if it happens to be 1 lakh, is the investment that you make in the library, right? So when you look at that aspect, the price doesn't look any big. It's a very fair, reasonable price. 60,000 plus GST for 1,000 students. It's only 0.7% if you happen to collect only 10,000, and so on it goes. So this Easylib is a subscription-based pricing. You don't need a server. You can use any computer that you have got with Windows, Linux operating systems, or a Mac operating system. 1 year support included. It's hosted on the cloud, and it includes the cost of software as well as the maintenance. And you have more staff, then buy additional staff licenses at 20,000 rupees each. That's all. Now, let's go to the campus ERP. We have the software that provides you admissions, attendance, student information, staff information, exams, timetable, assessment, learning management, placement module, transport management, sales desk, student counseling, service desk, inventory management, transport management, alumni management, fundraising management, many, and the student self-service portal. All of that included is rupees 3 lakh per year plus GST for 500 students. If you have 1,000 students, it's going to be 5 lakh. If you have more students, you keep adding rupees 400 rupees per student afterwards. There is one additional thing that you have got to factor in when you get Easylib 7.2a, that is the cost of a software developer. The reason is there is no software that I have seen that meets all your requirements, especially in the campus ERP. In the library segment, it has taken about 20 years to write a software which will more or less meet your basic requirements. So the number of changes are very less. So we are able to easily tell this is the price. However, in the campus ERP, absolutely or pretty much there is no chance there is a perfect product. So what you want to do is you need to invest additional 6 lakhs per year to get the changes that you want in the software, the enhancement that you require. And in addition to that, software support charges, because in the library there was somebody who had learned the MLISC, but here there is nothing like a master of library science. Everybody is learning new, so there is a handholding required. So to provide that handholding, to provide the assistance in the data migration, to give you the training that you require, to answer your questions, to draw the priority on which modules to be used. All that thing that requires one a dedicated support engineer. For that, a reasonable cost of about 7.2 lakhs. So if you happen to be having a college of 1,000 students, rupees 5 lakh. One software engineer will be about 6 lakh rupees. Note the software engineer cost is much higher. It may be about 12 lakh rupees if you hire by yourself. Here, what we are doing is we hire that software engineer, give you 50% discount because whatever we are developing will come to you first with the option to add it into our core product. That is why it's 6 lakh. Otherwise, the software engineers' salaries are much higher, 12 lakh, 15 lakh, and much higher for the experienced candidates. So 5 lakhs is here, 6 lakhs, and 7.2 lakh. And if you want a dedicated server for yourself, you need to add another 2 lakh rupees for the dedicated server. Otherwise, the shared server already comes in Easylib directly. Okay, so if you add all these three, 5 plus 6, 11, 11 plus 7, 18, add additional, add GST cost. So roughly you are looking at about 21 lakhs per year for the entire campus ERP. 21 lakhs only the first year part. And if many of your software development, whatever you require within 1 year are completed, then you don't need to maintain the second software engineer second year onwards. And if you already have people who are trained, you don't even need to have additional support person. You can manage it within yourself. So only these three are required: software platform, shared cloud server, and some of the handholding and training provided by the Easylib team on using the campus ERP. That will be about 5 lakhs rupees per year plus GST. Okay, that's about 6 lakh rupees including GST. Hardly about 600 rupees it's costing per student. Again, imagine the amount of the fees collected and the amount of money you are spending over here. In the worldwide standard, it is about 3%. But whereas when you go with Easylib, it's only 0.6% here. So we are very confident our price is the lowest in terms of complete ownership, total cost of ownership, not the per only this piece. No, we may look higher, but keeping your long-term horizon of 10 years, 20 years for using this software, like our many customers who have been our customer for more than 20 to 23 years, if you want that kind of software, come to us. Our retention period on the software is nearly 99%. Almost all of our customers continue to renew our software license, cloud software usage. We have 180 customers today who are on our cloud platform for Easylib 6.4 cloud. Then we have another 500 customers who are using our older products, older version of Easylib 4.4, right? So Easylib is backed by a strong management team which is committed to giving you the best software, reliable support, and continuous innovation. And it is backed by the brilliant software engineers that we have hired who join as freshers, who work over here, and they are today working in many companies after they move on from it. Many large companies, including Google, Apple, Infosys, Wipro, TCS, many companies, right? And by myself was working in Apple and Infosys. So our focus is to provide you the best software in the segment of this education segment. So become our customer, and we love to have you with us for the decades together. Thank you so much for joining in this webinar, the live demo. Please reach me anytime. This is my email ID and phone number, and our sales manager Sidhu's contact details are also here. Please reach any of us. We love to have you as our customers. And again, if you're already our customer, thank you so much. And it's your software written with your ideas, and we love to have you continue being our customers for many more years. Thank you so much. Have a great day.